All right, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. And I want to thank you all for tuning in today to Lions Talk Live. You know what? Yesterday, some news broke in the NFL. And at least if you're a Detroit Lions, maybe a Las Vegas Raider or Green Bay Packer or even Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, you are probably a little stunned by it. And what do you got? You've got the Detroit Lions were the beneficiaries of a coin flip. And that's no pun intended or anything else. News came out yesterday, at least from Terry and Arnold, and I want to give credit to multiple sources, including Woodward Sports, for having reported this. But I do know CBS Sports and a couple other places had it. So give credit where credit's due. Terry and Arnold went on the mic, gave an interview, and talked about how the Las Vegas Raiders were talking to him about taking him at pick 13. They were trying to decide between him and Brock Bowers. And from what he was told, apparently during the draft and after the draft from Las Vegas personnel, that a coin flip was used to determine who to go with, whether the tight end or the cornerback. I guess they had both guys rated as basically steals at that point, from my understanding of his interview. And you know what? Hey, Detroit Lions are probably going to be pretty dang thankful that we end up taking it. We also got some corroborating information from that interview and then thereafter from other sources or whatever you could say throughout the NFL that apparently multiple teams tried to trade up into the mid-teens to acquire Arnold once he passed by the Las Vegas Raiders. Apparently the Raiders, even once they took Brock Bowers, considered making a trade back up into the first round to take Arnold. So they were going to be pretty aggressive with it. They really liked the kid. We also, probably anybody who watched the show during the draft became aware that the Green Bay Packers wanted the guy, and so did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and obviously Brad Holmes leapfrogged both of those franchises in order for the Lions to get him. Either way, you can say, I'm going to say it's a safe bet to assume that the Lions got one of the better steals potentially of the draft. We'll have to wait a few seasons to find out when we look back, but they got an absolute gem at 24. It sounds like the Lions had talked to Seattle Seahawks. This information also came out a part of all this news yesterday. So give credit where credit's due. I know there were multiple sources that we went with prior to the draft saying the Lions were seeking a trade up into the middle part of the first round or somewhere in the teens, I guess you could just summarize, to acquire a person of interest. It would appear that maybe that person was Terry and Arnold. So I know when you break news, people sometimes want to throw, empty Mountain Dews at you, but hey, kudos to Brad Holmes. Kudos to the Las Vegas Raiders letting a coin decide where to go. But whatever it is, I think everybody watching the show can agree that Terry and Arnold is a fortunate find for the Lions to have gotten, especially considering how late in the first round we were drafting. And even though we did trade up, just a huge gem and a huge find, and one who's already working on embracing himself to the entire fan base of the Detroit Lions. All right, before we get into the meat of the show, as you guys know, a couple of real quick things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are about 80 subs away from hitting 6,700. If you would, consider hitting the thumbs up button, the like button, whatever you want to call it, for today's video, because if we get to 200 to 300 subs, thumbs up or likes, that pushes the content out to more and more people that might not normally discover the channel. Last but never least, I am a working man and enjoy it exponentially. So if you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, consider giving me a call, shooting me a text, 269-998-2384. I know one of you, or a couple of you, I should say, in the last month or so have asked me to list your properties, and you're probably going to find that the normal rate for a listing is 6 to 8%. Now, keep in mind, it's all negotiable, but those are about the norms. If you're a Lions Talk Live viewer and subscriber, then you know what? I'll make sure you get a pretty good discount to help save you some money. Try to get you down to about 5, maybe 4.5%. So again, if you're gonna be loyal to this channel, I'll try to help you out, and obviously that saves you a lot of money. Also, just something for you guys to consider. Today at 7:30, we have one of the greatest Lions content journalists out there in existence. And yes, most of you know him, Curt Steele. He's going to come on to the show. So we're about 25 minutes away from that. Let's really pick his brain about the coin flip and a couple other topics as far as going through the roster, maybe some positional battles he's going to be paying attention to going into this upcoming season. All right, let's get moving and shaking with the morning show. Let's see what you guys got to say about all this. Hookadoo. Woo! The first woo of the show right off the bat. Frank the Tank. Woo! All right, Don Burr's going to love this start. Matthew Grace, greetings, salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or bust 100%. And woo! Oh, boy. Sorry, Don. All right, Hookadoo. Good morning, Coach and Duke Crew members. Welcome on board, Curt. Grit, 100%. Curt is, I'm going to guess the vast majority of you guys know who he is, just like Jeff Risdon when he was on, or Mike Kipp or Hutch Jr., excuse me. Most of you guys know who these guys are, but it's really, I'm thankful that they're willing to take out part of their mornings to come on the show and give just different perspective, different insights, maybe something we don't know. It's nice to have them all come out and join. All right, Frank the Tank, very glad Arnold wasn't the tails because Detroit Lions needed him. Go Lions. Yeah, and I think he's going to make a difference in that defense probably sooner versus later. We all know most rookie cornerbacks take a little time to develop. I mean, Darius Slay, one of the better Detroit Lions secondary personnel individuals, arguably in the last 40, 50 years. But also remember his rookie year, didn't do a whole lot. Sophomore year, I mean, it was better, but, not a ton. It really took him until year 3 for him to break out. And he's not the only one that typically takes time to gel. I mean, look at this year's team. Iffy took, basically 3 years to get himself going in the NFL. Derek Barnes could fit that mold. Jameson Williams, I get his freshman year, his rookie year, injuries slowed him down. But really last year, it took him half the season, maybe you could say even slightly longer than that before he really started finding his way. But by the time the playoffs came, I did think Jameson Williams was a bit of a difference maker. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. I'm hooked on a feeling. It's Superdome or bust, exclamation point. Brand is the master villain, striking at our worst moments. I see what you did there. And yeah, he's doing everything he can to build this roster and do it in record time. I think Lions fans, we all know how great he is. We all appreciate what Brand Holmes, the master class villain, whatever you want to say, super villain, has done for this franchise. But you know what? He's doing it in such a way that he is raising eyebrows across the NFL, and people are taking notice. And as we're also probably aware, people are taking shots at him because, when somebody's showing you up, it is kind of human nature to want to put him down. All right, Mike DeRain. Howdy, Dan, Lions faithful. Woo, woo. Good morning to you, Mike, and hopefully I'm going to do one. Dave, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, Duke Crew, exclamation points. I heard about how the Raiders nearly drafted him. Crazy to think they flipped a dang coin to figure out who to take. Hey, I guess if I'm the Raiders, you felt comfortable doing so, knowing that your scouting department had great grades on both individuals. And I think anybody watching the NFL draft, when the Raiders took Bowers, said, yeah, that's a great pick. And I think if the Lions would have had him and taken him, most fans would have been okay with it, salivating at the idea of Laporta, Bowers, having all that space to work with in this offense, St. Brown being out there. There's tons of teams that would have loved to have him. Just like there's tons of teams that would have loved to have Terry Arnold. And again, we've already gone through the different scenarios where, Lions could have, traded up or thought about trading up with Seattle to get their pick. The Raiders obviously nearly took him. Green Bay and Tampa Bay wanted to get him, just thought he was going to fall to them, et cetera, et cetera. And there was some chatter too that Green Bay considered trading up into higher in the first round to get him. They just, I guess they couldn't strike a deal. Obviously, they couldn't strike a deal as we got him. So, hey, glad we got him. Kid's going to be a player, in my opinion. George, good morning, everyone. That flipped helped us out a lot. Love it. Yeah, 100%, because you got, it sounds like most draft analysts, whoever you're going to go with, had him as somewhere between the 7th best football player and about the 12th or 13th best football player. So again, to get him in the back half of the first round, just an absolute thumbs up, home run win for the Lions. Moonscar, what up, Doe? To the Duke Crew, 100%. And what up to you, Moonscar? Hopefully having a great morning. Robert, greetings and salutations all. Back at you. Robert, woo! 100%. Good morning to you. Eddie, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, everyone. So if the Raiders would have taken Arnold at 12, who would we have ended up with? Question mark. Let the speculation begin. It's a good question. It's a fair question. So let's Scooby-Doo this. Let's say that Arnold goes at 13, I think you mean versus 12. Um, yeah, who would they have taken? My anticipation is you probably would have still seen the Lions trade up, but then it just comes down to who would you have taken if you were them. And we do know that Lions talked about making a trade up to get Darius Robinson. So would that have become the move then? Quite possibly. Could they have traded up to go in a completely different direction? That's also true. Could they have gone wide receiver or offensive line or whatever? I guess we'd all have to speculate on that to see where we would have gone. And it's fun to speculate on those things. All right, Jesse. Hey. How's it everyone doing today? Question mark at Big Eddie. I think we would have traded up for an edge or Mitchell. Now there's a thought. Could you have gone for the Toledo Rocket himself? That's a possibility. It's interesting to think about what the Lions might have had on him for a draft grade. So, and that's the part we don't know. All right, Brent. Good morning, everyone. Go Lions. Woo! 100% Brent, and hope you're having a great morning, my friend. Gary, Alpena is where I grew up, coach. Learned about Eric Cross by working in the Vicksburg area. After seeing the Justice for Eric Cross sign, then my curiosity took over. Yeah, it's been one of those unsolved mysteries. Man, has it been 30, 40 years now? I think probably closer to 40 years. So if you guys don't know what he's talking about, there was a murder, somewhere I want to say in the mid 80s in Vicksburg, a gentleman or kid named Eric Cross, and they've just never, unfortunately, been able to solve it. So hopefully someday they do. So and that's part of the saying behind it is justice for Eric. They still hang up signs. People still want to know what happened. And yeah, you can find like unsolved mysteries and stuff like that. Major investigation channels or shows, I should say, that have done deep dives into it. Unfortunately, at this time, nobody has found that answer that I'm aware of, at least. All right, France, good evening, everyone. Arnold was a total steal for the Lions to be able to draft that late in the draft. Yeah, I would agree with that. I was shocked when it happened, and I'm still in disbelief. Yeah, nobody would anticipate a talent of that ability level to fall that late in the draft. But as history has shown us, it does happen. Remember, the Lions could have drafted Randy Moss. Instead, they took Terry Fair. And that's no disrespect to Terry Fair. He had a pretty good NFL career. He did not have Randy Moss's NFL career. And therein lies the debate that will always happen whenever somebody bypasses somebody who ends up being a great talent, or maybe even generational talent in Moss's case. But hey, that's the roll of the dice that every franchise takes when they make a selection. Man, good morning, Dan and do crew. Woo! 100% and born into you too. Moonscar, good question, Big Eddie. My guess is they would have made the move for Darius Robinson. Yeah, that sounds logical to me too. Just say, Kate, greetings and salutations. Glad to see Curt Steele on the show again. Yes, always love to have him stop on by and give us his infinite wisdom. Mike DeMarine, thumbs up for Dan's Do Drive. There you go. Do it, man. If you guys haven't yet hit the thumbs up button, please consider doing so. All right, Eddie, what do you got? Yeah, I tend to agree on that Moonscar Blade. Yes, I agree. Darius Robinson probably would have been in play. A little bit more, at least. Let's see. Michael Green, salutations, coach and do crew. Super Bowl or bust back at you. And good morning, my friend. Dave, good morning. All good morning. Grace through faith. What, bro? I need TI. Okay, I'm not sure what TI is. Let me know. All right, Grace. My man, Curt Steele, what up, though? Yes, he will be on here in, I guess, about, 15 minutes or so? All right, Gary, Curt, you are the man, exclamation point. I don't care what Dan says behind your back. If we sign Curt, we could have 2 Steele brothers. There we go. We could. Well, let's make it happen. Grace, glory to Jesus, blessings to my Duke Crew Warriors. Best Lions fan forum. Hey, thanks for that, and good morning to you, Grace. Hopefully you have an outstanding day. Jason, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew. Shoring up the secondary is a scary thought. Expectations are running high. Super Bowl or bust. 1,000,000,000% with that. And you know what? Yesterday, I'm outside mowing the lawn, talking to a bunch of my neighbors, and they're season ticket holders, so I get they're Lions fans. But just talking to them briefly for a little bit, you can just see the anticipation that is building throughout the fan base. Everybody just ready to go, ready for the season to happen. I mean, everybody wants their summer too, but you can see the expectations for the upcoming year are through the roof. People really do believe that the Lions will get to the Super Bowl and win it this year. All right, Hatman. So talking with my wife, she said anyone who orders a coffee mug from Dan, that she wouldn't charge you royalties for the coffee. There we go. It's nice for her to be so giving and thoughtful like that, Hatman. Bo, this is where the pre-breakfast crew has a meeting of simple minds. Don't walk on by. You are correct there, and I see what you're doing there. Lions fan number one, good morning. Don't you forget about do. Don't. Yes, I see. Yes, when you walk on by. Yes. All right, Hookadoo. But hey, man, I don't drink coffee. There you go. Well, take that off the list then and go get yourself a delicious Mountain Dew. All right, Grace, show my guy smoking Jeremy B on the show as a guest. Jeremy actually has fire content. Yeah, I'll try to reach on out and see what I can do. See if I can make that happen. Bo, as you call my name. Yes, correct. Steve Rogers, greetings, salutations. Is it confirmed we are playing we will play Buffalo next year on Thanksgiving? I know I've heard that. I want to say there was an announcement, something related to that last year, but I don't have that confirmed. I wouldn't know for sure until next week's schedule release. But if somebody does know something about it, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Hey, man, Hookadoo, what are you talking about, Willis? There you go. Dave, Terry Arnold, an American football cornerback, is collaborating with country singer Walker Hayes and the Alabama quarterback Jan Milroe on a song called Yank, all right? Or Lank, excuse me. All right. Hookadoo, Hatman, all right. Laughing, all right. Moonscar, I love the early bird Dew Crew banter. You guys are part of what I like to call Dan's starting lineup. I'll go with that, man. Yeah, the starting lineup it is. I like that one, Moonscar. Jedi says, what do you got? Good morning, all. I need to get me some go-go juice today. Running slow, Well, hey, sometimes you need a little pick-me-up in the morning, so go get coffee, Mountain Dew, or whatever works for you. Brent, love the fact we jumped ahead of the Packers for the second year in a row to get a guy they wanted, exclamation point. FTP, we'll go with that. And, yeah, so if you don't recall what Brent's talking about, the year prior, we became aware that the Green Bay Packers wanted Brian Branch. The Lions, though, traded ahead of them to acquire him, and then it is confirmed that the Green Bay Packers wanted Arnold this year. But again, the Lions pulled a bold move, made the move up to get ahead of them in the draft, and leapfrog both Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Both second cup, 100% Colombian coffee. There you go. Quentin, great salutations. Yeah, y'all, man, I'm glad the Raiders went full Raiders and took another tight end and not our boy Arnold going to be him. Yeah, there's a lot of speculation in Raiders country, I guess you could say. Why did they take Bowers? Obviously, it was a coin flip, but they already had some pretty good tight end play. My personal thought is, man, Bowers can really go. He can do a lot of good things. He is a bit of a matchup problem. So I see why they were tantalized by him, and there is more evidence. You saw that in the draft this year. More and more teams are leaning offense versus defense because, and we've beat this thing to death, but the rules all favor the offense. So if you have a strong offense, you have a chance in the NFL. If you have a defense, maybe you can limit an offense. I don't know if we'll ever see an NFL defense that can really just shut down and stop an offense, assuming the offense is not in the bottom half of the NFL. As long as you're a mid-range to upper tier offense, you're probably going to have more success than failures in the NFL. But with all that being said, you're always an innovation away from some brilliant-minded defensive coordinator who's willing to roll the dice, and maybe that's what we'll get here with Aaron Glenn this year. All right, Phil, good morning to you, Phil. Detroit D, I made it. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Back at you, D. Hopefully you're having a great morning, my friend. Moonscar, thumbs up to all the Dew crew agreeing on this one. Packers aren't good. We'll go with that. And yes, I would agree. All Lions fans concur on that topic. Phil, Arnold will be brought down to earth when real practices start. For sure, 100%. I mean, hey, as an athlete or anybody who's good at something, you have self-belief. You believe you're going to be something. And to your point, Phil, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a leap when he gets out there against NFL-capable players St. Brown or Jameson Williams or whoever, man. I do believe Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to surprise a lot of people with his performance this year. So wait and see what happens. Hopefully Arnold, is a quick study, develops fast, because obviously that's only going to help the team. Yes, skip Green Bay, 100% with that, Phil. I agree. Detroit D, has Tyrion picked a number yet? I want my jersey. That I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check on that. I think the numbers were assigned like last week, but don't hold me to that. I didn't pay that much attention to it. Hookadoo, I look at it this way, Moonscar. If you're not the Lions, they suck. Yes, one pride, 100%. I'll go with that. Yes, if you're not a Detroit Lion, you're either with us or against us. Obviously, Green Bay is against us. Phil, Brad beating them at every turn is frustrating them. It is, man. Yeah, without question. Because when it happens once, are you upset about it? Sure. When it happens a second or third time, it probably is going to be upsetting. Almost makes me wonder if next year, if the Lions and Packers are anywhere near each other in the draft order, does the past now influence the Green Bay Packers into making a very emotional move and really over trading up in the draft to acquire a person of interest? All will be revealed next year in the draft. Bo, walk on by Packers. There you go. Dennis, good morning, Dan and Mr. Steele and Duke Crew. I'm back at you, Dennis. Hopefully having a great morning. Moonscar at Bo Booth. The darker the bean, the sweeter the juice, brother. There, all right. We'll go with that. Grace, at Arnold, a little too cocky. Yeah, it's okay. Cocky, yes. I'd rather have a confident player than an unconfident player. Inconfident, unconfident, whatever. Lacking confidence. How about that? Phil, not man divisions where the cities are so close to each other. Yeah, and hey, at least we have a little bit of space between Detroit and some of the other places. Think about like Green Bay and Chicago, just how easy a drive that is for teams to go to each other's sites if they can get tickets. All right, Moonscar, what do you got? Bo rocking some Panera this morning. Are we? Yes. Phil, Manny, all right. Hatman, good morning. Curt Steele, yep, he'll be here in about 8 minutes or so. Dennis Arnold's going to be a beast. I agree. I think he's going to be good. I just think, tempered expectations, it usually does take a corner a little while to develop into an NFL corner. All right, Bo, Enrique Douche Moonsgar, there we go. Boy, it's too early for me to get that one. Touche. All right, touche it is. All right, Phil, we will see. He has some really good veteran players going to push him around at first. Yeah, 100%. They're gonna be all over him, help him develop, but they also want to test him, make sure he's ready for the moment. Phil, Alabama Lions. Yes, this is correct. Grace, Bama Lions. Let's go. Woo! 100%. And yes, concurred. Boat roll pride. There you go. Phil, Dan, how's the Tesla holding up? Doing well, man. Doing well. I do have to get a new windshield on it. A rock hit it during the storm. And nothing huge or anything, but yeah, I guess insurance is going to cover that. But the insurance place that handles those windshields, yeah, they're going to be backlogged for a while. All right, let's see. Phil, Hair of Greatness, not so great today. No, it's not. I didn't really spend a lot of time on it before going on the air today, but you know what? Hey, I'll roll with it. And either way, I won't let it slow me down. Miles Marker, what do you got? God morning. Can you imagine Holmes' reaction if someone suggested to him that he toss a coin to pick a draft player? Question mark. He'd probably lose it on them. Yeah, I don't really see that happening with this front office. But you never know. Maybe they're just that torn on two players. They think they're both equal. They're both great. We'll wait and see. Grace through faith. What do you got? Go Pistons. There you go. They need a little faith in Grace. All right. Let's see. JIK. Elbow drop that like button from the top rope, everyone. Yes, I like the way you're going with that. Yes, do that, please. Yeah, help push the content out to more people. Rocky, good morning. All another day closer to the start of the season. Yes, we are. Every day we see is another day closer to the kickoff season. All right, Miles, good morning. What the heck would Raiders call Arnold after the draft? Yeah, that's the one thing I really do wonder about the story. You didn't take the kid. Are you really going to talk to him and give him those detailed informations? Maybe somebody did give it to him. I don't know. I have no clue. So what I do know is this is what he's reporting. There is a lot of evidence out there to support it, and we do have corroborating information that the Raiders did try to trade back up in the first round to reacquire Arnold. So obviously they must have been pretty interested in him, just like we know the Lions, Green Bay, Tampa Bay all wanted him, and I'm sure there were other teams that wanted him. All right, 9 Drinks. Good morning, Duke Crew. Back at you. Clarkston, what do you got? Coin Flip. What a crap organization. I'm not sure if it's the way I would have done things, but they didn't ask me. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll go that way. Anthony, good morning, Duke Crew. Back at you, Anthony. Thanks for all you do for the channel. Hookadoo, good morning, Mr. Anthony. Bo, they flipped out. Ooh, well played there. Rocky, Lions got a starting Arnold. He has the right stuff to make it big. Yeah, I think he'll do very well. Let's see what happens. All right, Jeffrey. Hey, Anthony, how you been? Question mark. Anthony, good morning. Morning, brother. Hookadoo. There you go. Dennis, Raiders are Bush League. They've gone from being just one of the NFL's most iconic franchises to the more stuff like this comes out, the more you think they've almost become laughing stocks, a mirror of what they once were. It's just too bad. I really root for them to turn it around, but at this time, the stuff like this doesn't help the old image. All right, Anthony, what do you got? Good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning. Bo, there's madness in that mythology. There you go. Maybe there is. Maybe there is. Grace, what up, though? Dennis, what up, though? There we go. Miles, I think Holmes would have become very irate if someone suggested to him, flip a coin and make a choice. I just can't fathom that. No, I can't either. I don't see Brad Holmes doing that, but been wrong before. Dennis, LOL, I don't coach that stuff. Yes, all right. There we go. All right, fair enough. Jeffrey, morning crew. Here's to a tremendous day in Lions Land. I'll go with that always, and thanks for that. Rocky, got back yesterday from taking wife to work and finished watching the show. Like to say sorry to Patrick. Been married 43 years, and it hit me big time once again. My condolences. Yeah, 100%. And without going into it, it's not my place or whatever. Just say thoughts and prayers go out to Patrick and your family. So, yeah, it's a devastating loss. All right, Moonscar. Raiders had a two-headed coin. Arnold was tails, but Mark Davis went best 2 out of 3 to make sure. Could be a lot of truth to that. A whole lot of truth to that. All right, Rocky, I would say we won the flip. Yeah, I'm very happy with the results of that flip. All right, Big Daz, what do you got? Made it back this morning. Yo, Duke Crew, woo! Good morning, and glad he made it back there. All right, Tim, greetings, salutations, Coach Duke Crew, exclamation point. I'm becoming impressed with the Lions' upgrades and the admirable sense of family in our group. Yeah, everybody's pretty much on the same page, ride or die together. So, yeah, we've got a good group here, and I'm very thankful for it. Miles Barker, hey, Big Guys, nice to see you this morning, 100%. Zane, good morning to everyone. Good morning to you, too. Phil, poor Jen, having to listen to the woo every day. Yes, she's told me she can, even though we're 2 floors apart from each other, she does hear it on her when she's filming her stuff down in the basement. Hookadoo. It was Holmes that slipped to the two-headed coin into the flip. There you go. Yeah, he had a plan. Zane, should the Lions trade for a wide receiver? If so, who would it be? There's been some speculation about that, Zane, but I do believe the Lions ultimately, if they're going to add another one, I think they're just going to wait for the roster cuts or something a little closer to the season before adding someone. Tim, what do you got? Phil, poor Jen indeed. Woo! There you go. Matt, what do you got? We'll go for 2 against Cowboys this year. Will we? Man, maybe we'll do it on the first score just out of spite. 9 Drinks, Scooby-Doo snacks to all. There you go. I like the way you're thinking. Johnny, Dan, I've got to tell you, this channel has become a real community, and it's a great thing. God bless the Duke Crew. 100% with that. Yeah, we're all on board with stuff. All right, guys, it's about that time for me to introduce someone you all know. He is a 17-time undefeated world's heavyweight champion. He is Curt Steele. Everybody give a round of applause and a big woo!
What's going on, family? What's going on, dude?
How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Man, I'm doing good, man. It's down here in Carolina, just enjoying the off season. Great stories around right now, so I'm just having fun down here.
All right, Curt. So let me ask you, man. Yesterday, the news kind of comes out. The Raiders potentially were going to take Arnold at 13. They flip a coin. They go with Bowers. What do you think of this?
I doubt that. I doubt. Seriously, it was a coin flip. It had to be a kind of discussion. I think that the term coin flip kind of like is what do you call that? People just automatically assume that they're doing an actual coin flip, but it
Right.
probably was more of a discussion like, hey, what do we really need? Uh, I don't know who the tight end out there in uh, Vegas was last year. What up, Dobrowski? But um, and because I say that because I'm looking at Antonio Pierce, right? I'm listening to his interviews. I'm looking at the kind of a person he is. I don't think he's a like we're gonna flip a coin type guy. You know what I'm saying? So I just think I think it was like pros and cons. Who do we need more? And it was probably Brock Bowers because of what he brings to their offense. I'm surprised they didn't take Arnold. You look at their defensive backs; they didn't have a very good secondary last year.
No, they did
So
not.
that was a blessing for us, for the Lions. But because we were kind of in the same predicament as far as our cornerback position goes, and then they lost one of their best cornerbacks because he's in Detroit.
Right.
So just don't understand the logic behind it. But hell, I'll take it. I will take that. I definitely would take Terry Arnold over. And it was speculation that the Lions were going to take Brock Bowers. I'm like, we don't need Brock Bowers. So I'm sorry, we just don't need that guy. So I'd rather take Arnold over Bowers any day.
When you look at Arnold, you look at what they've done to the secondary. How big in your estimation, how big of a shift will this defense have next year because of the secondary components being so vastly different than a year ago?
Um, I think it will be hopefully vastly improved. You look at the guys they brought in to play in Aaron Glenn's system. They brought in a lot of guys that play man coverage, press man, and that's what he wants on the outside. And that's what the guys that were there last year they just couldn't do it at a high enough level for a long enough time. You look at Vildor played good last year. It was up and down, but people will always remember the play in San Francisco in the NC Championship game. But he played better than that for most of the season. But you look at it, Jerry Jacobs, he was fast enough, but he just wasn't big enough. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Jacobs 5'8", 5'9", fast enough because Jerry Jacobs is fast, but he just didn't have the physicality to play down the field. And then you look at a guy like Cam Sutton. Cam Sutton's more of a zone coverage type of guy. Can
Right.
can be can play well, but he's not a lockdown outside man corner. And that was the shout to my man Luke G over at Luke G's Field Review. That was one of his things that he said about Cam Sutton was like he's not a lockdown corner on the outside. He's not a CB1. He's a guy that you can kind of move around as a piece, play. He can play safety. He can play inside. He can play a lot of zone coverage. But what they were asking him to do, as far as the outside, wasn't what his skill set was, and it showed, especially down that back portion of the season. I just think that we're going to have guys that can stick. They're sticky guys. Even the young guys that are coming in, they're sticky coverage guys with Arnold and Rickshaw and Robertson and Carlton Davis. Those are man coverage type of athletes. And then you throw in uh, our coverage guys from the safety and nickel position. Brian Branch definitely is going to improve. I think he's going to improve his play coming up, and I think that Kirby Joseph and Ifatu Malafamo, those guys are just going to elevate their games as well. So, and plus with the vast improvement we're going to have in the pass rush, that's going to affect the secondary as well. You're going to have guys. I think one of the guys that's not talked about enough is going to have a big jump this year as far as the pass rush It's going to be Aleem McNeil. DJ Reed is going to eat up a lot of space. He's
Yeah.
going to give Aleem McNeil time to eat. Him, Josh Pascal, of course, A.D. Hutchinson. It's going to be all hands on deck for offensive lines in the NFC North and for the opponents of the Lions.
So, Curt, let me get your thoughts on this. Obviously, there's a lot of new personnel, especially in the secondary. If you had a pick right now, what your anticipated starting, secondary is going to be for Detroit, who do you think plays where? Because I've got some real questions when it comes down to the three safeties. Will they just roll out a three safety system? Most of these guys can cover, but what are your thoughts?
My thoughts: starters, CB1 is Carlton Davis III. Terry Arnold will play on the opposite side of him. I don't see another guy that has the skill set of those two guys on the outside. And then you look at it, if he's going to start at one safety, Kirby Joseph, and then you're going to have Brian Branch rotating that safety / nickel. Right. And that nickel position will be shared with some of that time with Amik Robinson, because he's a competitor. Yeah. Robertson's going to see the field, so he's going to be a competitor. But you're going to rotate those three safeties. Is going to be Branch, Iffy, and Kirby Joseph, with Branch rotating in and out with Amik Robinson. I mean, like, having a competitive secondary where you can rotate guys in and out and keep them fresh. I think that's one thing people are missing. Like, oh, you want to keep your guys, and so, no, if you can have a guys that are competitive and you can rotate guys in and out and keep them fresh and not have a big drop in talent level, man, that spells success for defense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Especially, to me, Rakestraw is probably going to take some time to develop. Whether or not he's, a corner, safety, whatever, I think he'll get a bit of both. But what do you think? How deep could this be, the secondary, if someone like Emmanuel Moseley really does heal up and returns to form like he did with the 49ers?
Man, that would be a blessing. It's kind of hard to see, like, what guy that we will keep and what guy we could be a trade chip for another person that we want, or you're just gonna have a lot of depth back there in that defensive, especially in that cornerback room. I mean, hopefully Emmanuel Moseley can heal up. I mean, he's kind of probably, and it was so bad that it was like a year to the day where he tore the ACL on the other leg. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad for the young fella. But hopefully he heals up, and that's a thing that most coaches and most personnel staffs want, where they have too many guys that are good at one spot, where we can use that one of those individuals maybe as a trade chip, and get something back in return, maybe a draft pick or maybe something else that we may need on the defense. So, I mean, I'm liking it. It's just one of those things, man. I'm very excited for the defensive secondary. I played a little secondary when I was a younger kid. You know what I'm saying? Not on the higher levels, but that was my position. I love playing corner. So I like what we have in the cornerback room this year versus what we had last year.
So we started the show off by talking about the coin flip, whether it was just a term or an actual coin flip. I guess we don't know. But there was more and more speculation that came out yesterday, kind of that we had a week or so before the draft, that Brad Holmes was looking into trading somewhere into the mid-teens, upper teens, somewhere around there, at least for a pick. If Arnold's off the board, who do you think the Lions are going after?
Oh, my God. They're going to take a defensive end. If he wasn't there, I'm pretty sure that they took Robinson.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they would have took Robinson. Because there were a lot of speculations and conversations between Robertson and the Lions, and you look at that young fella. He's a local kid, high motor, and that he's a versatile guy. He can play end, he can play tackle, but Terry Arnold was their top name on their board, and when that stuff happened with the quarterbacks, and then the first 15 picks being offensive players, it just kind of set up perfect. Like, yeah, he was trying to trade up into the teens, and this kind of fell to him. And no matter what, that noise coming out of kind of a cheese land, they wanted Terry Arnold, and the GM got pissed off. Now he's just out here talking reckless because the Lions got the guy he wanted for the second year in a row because
Right.
they wanted Branch last year and we jumped up ahead of them to get Branch, and now this year we jumped up ahead of them to get Arnold. So yeah, he can kick rocks on that one, but but jealousy it rears its ugly head, especially in a division rival. But we got the guy that we wanted and the guy they wanted.
Do you think if you're the Green Bay Packers, you're looking to put some sort of spy inside of the Lions' war room to prevent this from happening a third straight year?
Nah, man, John Dorsey's gonna probably call him next year and troll him, troll him out like he does every draft year. He's calling somebody's war room, playing jokes. I like that from. We have a bunch of goofballs,
Right.
and they're that leadership in their front office personnel staff, they fit each other because they're a bunch of goofballs. They know what they're doing,
Right.
and they're serious, but they're not. They're not, what do you call that? They're not overly serious about themselves. They can know how to laugh at themselves, but as long as they're getting their job done. Like, I love the stuff that they were doing even last year with Brad Holmes wearing the Dan Campbell T-shirt, and then Coleman wearing the Holmes T-shirt. And this year, I love the fact that they wore the Dan. People were trying. I don't know what the hell they came from. Where someone was like, "Well, they're wearing the Brock Wright jerseys." I'm like, no, that's a Dan Campbell jersey. They just
Right.
happen to wear the same number, but and then they auction off. I think two of them. I think the one Brad Holmes had on, and then the one that Dan Campbell had on. They autographed them. They auctioned them off for charity. So you look at that. You just got a bunch of good people that are good, but that Green Bay thing, man, it's funny because of the fact that that we were in competition and they didn't get it done with Lions. I mean, even some of their fan parody videos where they watched, well, they ain't parody, they were watching live streaming, and then they saw us jump up ahead of them to get Arnold. They were pissed off because
Right.
that's what they wanted.
And just real quick, so some of you may not know, Dorsey's in the front office of the Detroit Lions, and I guess he's got a yearly ritual where he calls around and pranks basically other GMs, calls them up and asks them if they want to trade. And you can find online videos of other teams just laughing when you just pick up the phone and say, we're not interested or we're not trading or whatever it is. But the guy seems to have a good time and a huge rep around the NFL for doing that. All right, so let's also talk now about the draft in entirety for the Detroit Lions. Have we really evolved as a franchise from the point where when this regime came in, every draft pick needed to play right away or just to be somewhat competitive, to where now are we at the point where some of these draft picks are going to be allotted a year or two to grow and develop? Is that where we are?
I think what's happening right now is that we have a talent pool where we brought in some guys at free agency, but the young guys have played and proven themselves. You look at the last year's draft, all those guys played an integral part of the Detroit Lions last year. Those first 4 draft picks were like really an integral part of the Detroit Lions. And I use this term with my man Jim when I was on Detroit Lions and the Proud Garrison. So I was always talking about the Lions when they first started with Brad Holmes. They were getting what they wanted and not who they wanted. Now they have a bunch of who they wanted on the team. So you're going to get those guys. It's going to be those younger guys. They're going to get a chance to develop because they brought in coaching staff that is about player development, former players. And Dan Campbell's big on player development. No, we're going to play the guy, but we, don't have overly high expectations. He's going to play at a high level, but we're going to continue to make sure that he learns and plays at a higher level. So this year is going to be a pivotal year for a guy like Broderick Martin. He has the veterans ahead of him, and you look at the signing we had yesterday the day before with the defensive tackle. That's that veteran depth defensive tackle that's going to fill that role of a guy like Isaiah Buggs, who just couldn't get out of his own way in Detroit. When he was on, he was on, and he played well. So, and then you have a guy like Terrell Williams who's coming in to develop the defensive line and he's going to push these guys like he did Jeffrey Simmons, Cameron Drake. So we're going to have a good. I think he's going to be a pivotal piece to our defense. But these younger guys are going to. They've contributed. Some of them from day one, and then some of them have grown. Like if he's finally healthy, he can play. I think one of the guys on the defensive line that's going to another pivotal year for them is going to be Anzarike Levi. This is going to be a big year from him. He should have a big development under Terrell Williams as well. So, but like I said, Aleem the Dream is going to eat this year.
Aleem the Dream. There you go. So I want you to look at this year's draft. And there were some guys like Manu or whatever that people say, man, the Lions, couldn't they have got him later on in the draft? If you're looking at this, trying to be just a neutral observer, what do you think was the compelling factor for the Detroit Lions to trade so aggressively up to get Giovanni?
Those guys, Brad Holmes is going to get his guys. He doesn't care. If he wants that guy. Now, you look at the athlete that young man is, Giovanni Manu, and you look at, what his potential is in the NFL, he's one of those developmental guys. He can have a chance to develop. But if you don't have a chance to get him on the board, to get him in the draft, then you lose him to someone else. Because people were sniffing around Giovanni Manu, and even the other young man, the safety out of Utah. People would think, I'm so tired of people saying, "Oh, we reached for this guy, we reached for that guy." No, he went and got the guy. They said the same thing last year, right? They said, "Oh, he reached for Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, he reached for Jack Campbell. Right. Oh, he reached for whatever." Come on, man. The guy he made it a point to get the players that he wanted, and he's always going to make sure he gets his guys, and no matter what. What do you say? You look at what is that? He went up 3 picks. He traded up 3 times this year, and last year he traded down 3 times. So, But apparently he knows what the hell he's doing. I mean, I'm saying, I'm not saying that some things aren't head scratchers, but I mean, the guy's doing what he's doing, and he's making it a difference on his roster.
So I know, I just looking at the chat, there are a couple people that want your take on Hendon Hooker, and I get he's the biggest lightning rod probably this offseason. Some people think, Jared Goff shouldn't sign another contract. Other people think Goff should have a 50-year deal. Hendon Hooker, should be made president of the United States today, not tomorrow. Go ahead and evaluate, in your opinion, where we are now with Hendon Hooker.
I said this yesterday. Now, if you don't know, I live in North Carolina. I live in Hendon Hooker country. His family's from the area that I live in. So every time someone sees me from his family and I have my Lions stuff on, oh yeah, my cousin or this,
right,
guy plays for Detroit, and we want him to, see what he's gonna do. Okay, here's the deal. Hendon Hooker is not a proven commodity on the NFL level. It's not. Hasn't played a snap in the NFL. This is his second year. He's still coming off a major injury. Okay. Here's my evaluation of Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, the style of offense that the Lions play right now, Hendon Hooker, I haven't seen him develop his short to intermediate passes. Yeah, I love my man Jim. So if you look at the Lions offense right now with Jared Goff, what is a lot of? A lot of short to intermediate passes with a few mixed down the field. You look at Hendon Hooker has a great arm down the field. So those intermediate to short passes game, he hasn't proven to me that he can do that on a high enough level. And I just haven't seen him on the field. I haven't seen him against NFL talent. So I can't say that he's going to be the next coming of whatever quarterback that you think is going to be a franchise player. That guy, he has a lot to prove. We're going to see him in the preseason. But my man Jim always said the most popular guy in Detroit was the backup quarterback because everyone wanted. But what does Jared Goff need to do to prove himself? He doesn't. I don't think he's proven himself. Um, I just think Hendon Hooker is going to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. I just think that's what his role is going to be. And my guy over there at Anthony over at Rhode Island UK, he's made this point. He said, "You don't trade down for your franchise quarterback. You trade up for your franchise quarterback." And you look at that. That was one of those 3 moves where he drafted. He went down in the draft and took Hendon Hooker because he was coming off that injury, that ACL injury. So, okay. I don't understand. Go back to that one. He said he doesn't understand my take. He's not a proven. He says no. He's not a proven commodity when he hasn't played. Yeah, he's not. I was saying he's not a proven commodity. So when you look at that, he's not a proven commodity on the NFL level. Like a guy, like you look at those C.J. Stroud and those guys, right? Those guys were proven commodities because they came in and played. You look at a guy like a Young, they're proven commodities in college, but I mean, I'm down here with Young, and people are like, "Oh man, we should have took this guy. He was so small, and we made a mistake, drafting him with the #1 pick. We should have took Stroud." But until Hendon Hooker steps on the field and proves he can play at an NFL level, my thoughts are he's not going to be the future of this franchise. I think Jared Goff has earned an extension, earned a new contract. I just think they're making sure that they have it right when they do it. And it's probably going to be toward that, that more towards the getting closer to the season type signing, training at training camp.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's going to be later this spring / summer, or whatever you want to say, or later the summer. I guess it would be right before the season begins. With that being said, though, the big speculation on Jared Goff and his contract will be ultimately, how long do you think the contract ends up being? In any rough guess, what the price tag on this thing's going to be?
We're looking at probably about 3 years, probably about 150, something like that.
I mean, not
around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those things where he's going to be around 50. He's going to be right around 50 million. And probably would have, if it's 4 years, it's going to be one of those void years, because how the Lions do those contracts with the void years.
Right.
It's going to be a bunch of money guaranteed in signing bonuses, so they don't eat up cap space down the line.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they'll do something similar to the Kirk Cousins deal, where really it's just a 2-year deal. The other years are voidable. If they cut him or move on from him, I guess it's not going to impact the franchise. So, all right, a couple of last questions, and I'll let you get on out of here. So, if you had to pick one guy to just be the total breakout player of the year on offense and defense, your unsung hero, whatever you want to call it, who are your sleepers, or whatever you want to say, for both offense and defense?
Oh, breakout player of the year is going to be Jameson Williams.
Okay.
He's going to be Jameson Williams. He's going to be J-Mo. Waymo going to do his thing. I mean, because you saw flashes of it, once he started getting comfortable in the offense last year, and especially that down the stretch. You look at how that game against the 49ers, he had a hell of a game in the NFC Championship game, man. He had a really good game. So I'm looking at Jameson Williams on offensive side of the ball. And the guy on defense, to me, is going to be Aleem McNeil. Like I said, he's going to have the opportunity to eat and make more plays. And people go, "Oh, well, he was a good player." No, even with the injury, he didn't have the year he wanted to have last year because of the injury. He had an elevated year, but it wasn't a breakout year. Right. So I think he's going to have his breakout year is going to be this year. He's going to be a menace in the run game and in the pass game on the defensive side of the ball. I'm looking for Aleem. With the addition of DJ Reader, he's a space eater, so he's going to give Aleem McNeil time to just wreck shop on that defensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. You look at, I'm assuming a lot of times Reader is going to get double team assignments to contain him. It also means Hutchinson, I mean, if you're going to double him anything near the rate teams did last year, it's going to be, I think, impossible for you to double team 3 straight guys all next to each other, unless you're just leaving 8 guys in the block, I guess. So, yeah, you're right. I think he could have a real good season. But real quick, that also means the opposite side, and whoever's going to be over there, whether it's Davenport, Houston, Betts, Pascal, or player to be named later, they probably have one-on-one. And if that guy has any ability to get after the quarterback, they're probably going to have a heck of a year. Who do you think is going to be out there opposite Hutchinson at the other end?
I think it's going to start with Davenport, and then you're going to mix in, because to me, I don't think that Houston's a 3-down out edge player. You know, he's that situational pass rusher, 3rd down, you know, long. And he's the reason why we're not bringing in Bud Dupree. I don't know that was a special. We should bring in Bud Dupree. We have a Bud Dupree. His name is James Houston.
Right.
And you look at that, I just think that the Lions are going to make a move. And they signed Davenport for a reason. He's gonna be plugged into that second to that opposite of Aiden Hutchinson type of role. He's a experienced pass rusher, veteran. So that's what I think is going to get, unless this Houston just comes in and just or Pascal just blows him out the water in camp. And that's a possibility. You look at it. Davenport's coming off an injury as well. And these guys are healing up, but we'll see. I just think that they signed Davenport for a reason, resurrect his career. They have familiarity with him from the New Orleans days with AG and Dan Campbell. So that's who's going to start that season off at the opposite defensive end of Aiden Hutchinson. And one more thing about Jared Goff. He's entering his prime, right? One of the quarterbacks enter their prime. Late 20s, early 30s, they enter their prime. I think he has it up here.
He does.
He doesn't have a cannon, but he can get the ball down the field. People think, he doesn't throw the ball down the field. Actually, he was one of the top in the league at completing passes 20 yards or more down the field. So, I don't know. I mean, some of them are quackers. You know what I'm saying? They're some ducks, but he's entering his prime years as a quarterback, and I think he's gonna. That's one of the reasons why I think the Lions are going to re-sign him as well.
Right. All right, Curt, I want to thank you for coming on this morning. And again, always appreciate when you come on out. Why don't you give yourself a shout out and tell everybody where they can find you and your awesome work.
All right. So, of course, you can find me over at Sideline Report, like it says, right below my name. You can check my articles out. I'm an independent contributor over there. I don't post a lot of work over there, but I do periodically to give a different voice to the fan side of family about the Detroit Lions. Check me out on CurtSteele.com. Definitely. That's where most of my content is. You can find the links to some of my former work as far as Sideline Report and some of my podcasts. And I'm gonna have a show coming back here shortly. It's gonna be the Boss Up, Ball Out podcast. And y'all know that's my term right there. I just wanted to I'm gonna relaunch it here soon, but getting some logistic things ready. So when it's ready and rolled out, I will make an announcement when the first show is going to be. But check me out over at CurtSteele.com. That's where all my content is. Just like my name is spelled, just CurtSteele.com, and you can find original articles and the articles I've written in the past, and some of my podcasts and some of the interviews. Man, I got some great interviews with Herman Moore over there. My man Math Bomb, Ben Raven from Michigan, from M Live. A lot of those guys are over there, man. Even Micro Mike's over there hanging out on my page, man. So go check it out.
All right, check him out. He is Curt Steele. Thank you for coming on the show. Crew, thanks for joining us this morning. As you guys all know, if there's some sort of breaking news later today, I'll try to get it over to you as quick as possible. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to get to 6,700 subs and about 80 away. Hit the thumbs up button. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.